I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate. We think too much and feel too little. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness. Without these qualities, life will be violent. And all will be lost. All will be lost. Do not despair. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. Dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. Will return to the people. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world to do away with greed. Now let us fight to free the world, to fulfill that promise. Let us all unite.
Welcome, folks, to the Corporation Nation radio program. I'm Clint. It is the 2nd of May, Friday, in fact. Yippee. Well, folks, I don't have a guest today. I thought we'd have a call-in show today. If you'd like to call in, our number here at RBN is 1-800-313-9443. 1-800-313-9443. Now, I was listening today to Dane Wigington's latest, I should say, video. I think it's his latest video, and it's pretty powerful stuff. Lots of very good sourced stuff he put on there. And it talks a lot about extinction of species and stuff like that. Very, very dire stuff. What's funny about this is, and it's been sort of a pet peeve of mine, is I keep telling people, look, folks, you're not going to convince people of geoengineering, chemtrails, as we like to call the slang version of it. But you're not going to convince people just by looking at the sky. It's like the grass growing. Okay, these lines in the sky have been incremental, and eventually people have just gotten used to them. And so I've written extensively on this. I've put up a couple posts on geoengineering, and I've said, look, okay, if they're not going to believe the obvious evidence in the sky, well, then appeal to the logic and reason of someone and show them this. And so I made a huge list of all the statutes and everything that controls geoengineering, all the permits that you have to get, and I've shown public notices in the newspapers where they tell you they're going to be spraying the skies all the way back to the 40s or 50s. I've shown the international laws, the international treaties regulating it. I've shown Kucinich's whatever his bill was to sort of regulate the use of weather as war in warfare, or as a political or wartime weapon. I mean, I've showed so much to appeal to people's logical and reasonable side, and I constantly think of new ways to, try to actually do that. And so today, as I was watching his thing, and he was mentioning these people, his presentation, and he was mentioning these people that are specialists in geoengineering, that are the top in their fields of geoengineering. I'm saying, well, how in the heck do you get to be top in a field that apparently doesn't exist? Well, it turns out you go to school for it. Now, keep in mind, this is a fairly new major and degree that you could actually get. But sure enough, I'm like, I wonder if they're offering actual degrees in geoengineering in school. It can't be. I mean, because then they'd actually have to sort of admit that it exists and is already taking place. I mean, why would you go to school for something if it doesn't exist as an option when you get out of school? Why would you pay all that money to go to school and then get a degree where something that is possibly going to happen in the future, right? See, that's how they're selling it, interestingly, is even as the schools offer it and even present lectures on it, they're pretending like it doesn't exist already, like they're not already actually doing it. It's very, very strange, very, very paradoxical, if you will. So I'm looking, and I'm reading, and I'm on just several different sites. Like this one is Big Future by the College Board, just a general site, and it talks about different degrees, and it says major, geotechnical and geoenvironmental engineering. And, of course, they're not going to – a lot of them don't come out and actually say that it's geoengineering per se in the title, although I was surprised that some do. But the way they're selling it to people is like, hey, this is your opportunity to jump on board a relatively new field and save the world. You could be the next climate hero, that kind of thing, you know. And along the way, you're going to learn about sustainable management, sustainable development. You're going to learn how to, basically fix the world by taking this one college degree over something that is admitted to, unfortunately, not really be a known entity because we don't really know how the world actually works. So come to school, learn what we do know, and maybe you'll get a job as a geoengineer. Hey, good news, folks. Your kids can be future geoengineers. Well, let's see here. Let's go to some of these college courses that I found. Here's a good one. Gradschools.com. Geoengineering graduate programs. It says geoengineering is also known as environmental engineering. Oh, so I should really be searching for environmental engineering. Now, who the heck but God would want to actually engineer the environment? What a crazy thing. It refers to the process of intervening in the Earth's climate system for the purpose of mitigating climate change. It encompasses two primary practices, carbon dioxide removal and solar radiation management. Geoengineering is a relatively new field. Graduate programs that may involve geoengineering include ocean technology, civil and environmental engineering, geological engineering, aerospace engineering, hydrology, and GPS technology. Both campus-based and online geoengineering graduate school exists. So, hey, folks, instead of watching those crazy conspiracy videos about geoengineering and chemtrails, why not just go to school for it? Huh? Why not? I mean, seriously, here's Villanova University. You can get your master's degree in civil and environmental engineering. What's stopping you? I mean, if you're going to sit around and watch geoengineering videos, you might as well become part of the problem and learn, get a master's degree in it. University of Louisville, Master of Engineering in Engineering Management. Engineering Management. Environmental Management. What a bizarre concept. What a psychotic concept. Master of Civil Engineering in Geotechnical Engineering. See, they put... These are all under what I just read, by the way. This is a Norwich University. Philadelphia University simply calls it Geodesign. That's right. You can design the future skies for your children. Isn't that wonderful? Or your children can design them for you. MS in Geodesign. As one of the first of its kind in the country, created in response to an overwhelming need for professionals in geoengineering and climate something or other. Northeastern University, there we go. Sustainable Building Systems. Really? Sustainable Building Systems? Walden University offers one. South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Geology and Geological Engineering. They're just basically combining this in regular college courses as well as if it's, already happening. Geological Engineering. This is crazy. Master of Engineering in Geotechnics, Missouri University of Science and Technology. The list goes on and on and on. Hydrology, civil engineering. They're mixing it up with everything and making it normal. Hydrogeology. My goodness. All right, stay tuned, folks.
First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation.
Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here is that you're a world. You're the creator. Find freedom on this canvas. Believe that you can do it. Because you can do it. Relax. Let it flow. Think like water. Relax. Let it flow. You can go on and on and on. We don't make mistakes.
All right, folks, welcome back.
We just have happy accidents.
You're in the Corporation Nation. Geo-Engineering. How would you like to be the next superstar of Geo-Engineering? All you got to do is go to college. It's online. It's everywhere. It's pretty amazing, really. So, in other words, if you're trying to convince somebody of the reality of what you in slang call chemtrails, you can point to this guy, or you can say, look, here's the laws. Look, you can get a degree in it. Do you really think they'd be offering a degree in it if it wasn't real? I mean, is that really logic? Can anyone actually look at that and say, oh, no, I don't believe that? Even though it's the top universities in the States, even though it's all over, there's so many different types of it. No, I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it exists. Let's see here. Here is the Queen's University. Queen's University. This is actually in Scotland and England, I believe. By the way, phone lines are still open. 1-800-313-9443. Can't believe no one wants to talk about chemtrails, man, for God's sake. 1-800-313-9443. So Queen's University School of Graduate Studies offers Geo-Engineering. Isn't that lovely? Unique, it's North America, actually. Unique in North America, the Geo-Engineering program is a collaboration between faculty members and the Royal Military College. Drawn from 4 engineering departments and 2 universities, the Geo-Engineering Center's members are dedicated to advancing knowledge in all of the things we were talking about. Let's see, what do they call them? Geotechnical, geohydrological, geochemical, and geosynthetics engineering. Let's see what happens when you actually go to school. It looks like for a master's, it's 2 years, and a PhD. That's right, a PhD in geoengineering, 3 to 4 years. Method of completion, master's students. Let's see. Here's how it goes. Participate in the Geo-Engineering Seminar Graduate Course. These seminars feature presentations from faculty members, graduate students, visiting practitioners. But wait a minute. How could there be visiting practitioners unless they're already practicing? And researchers, one afternoon each week, exposing students to examples of research and practice in different areas of geoengineering. Well, it must exist then. Here, let us lecture you on something that we're practicing and yet does not exist. Perhaps you'll use this in the future. This course appears as an extra course on your transcript. Participation is for 2 terms for the master's and 4 terms for the doctoral degree. Take 1 geoengineering course from outside your home department. At least 20% of selected coursework must be in geoengineering from your home program, and at least 20% from outside of your home program. Weird. Just such strangeness. It goes on to tell you how many different things you can do. How about the University of Nevada, Reno? Degrees and programs in, wait for it, geoengineering. Oh. Of course, this is all mixed in with the Geological Science and Engineering Department. The Geological Engineering facility at the Department of Geological Sciences and Engineering, along with the Department of Mining Engineering, offer an interdisciplinary PhD degree in geoengineering. Applications for this program may be submitted to either department. A broad range of dissertation research topics is envisioned for students from the Department of Geological Sciences and Engineering, including soil and rock slope stability, rock mechanics, geologic fracture mechanics, volcano hazards, urban geoengineering, aerospace, remote sensing, pure and applied geomathematics, geostatistics, and planetary geomechanics. Boy, there's one I haven't heard. I'm going to have to look that one up. Planetary geomechanics. I'll have to put that one in the search engine and see what comes up here. Let's see. Planetary geomechanics. Oh, well, there's another school offering a graduate course in geomechanics. Very interesting. Planetary and terrestrial structural geology research. Boy, I don't know what to think of that. Hydrology, of course. All right, well, you can become a doctor of philosophy in geoengineering at the University of Nevada, Reno. An interdisciplinary degree that combines all the things we just talked about. What else is here? What else do we got? Just the entry from ehow.com gives a little description of the general feel out there in the schools. Associate degrees in geoengineering. So now we're down to the lowest level. Associate degrees in geoengineering. So apparently you can go to community college too. Allow graduates to work as environmental engineering technicians. The technicians assist with environmental engineers. Oh, that's such a disturbing concept. Who have more advanced training to prevent and control environmental hazards, such as air pollution and water supply systems. Excuse me. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, employers often look for a minimum of an associate degree for geoengineering technicians. The skills and background. Environmental engineers need to understand and apply environmental health and safety regulations and concepts. A solid science and health background helps geoengineers comprehend such applications and explain them to workers in various industries. Gosh. Let's see. Major requirements. Computational methods in the major: environmental chemistry, air sampling and analysis, health physics, fluid mechanics, wastewater treatment, analysis of environmental pollutants, instrumentation, environmental analysis, hazardous material handling. I suppose a lot of those chemicals they use would be, those metals, hazardous. Environmental bacteriology, oh, that's disturbing. And site investigation and monitoring. Wow. So anyway, folks, if you'd like to further convince people, if the laws themselves, if the treaties between nations aren't good enough, if the public notices in newspapers just don't get you there with people, perhaps you could show them the courses that they could get, which indeed would allow themselves to be geoengineers. We'll be back, folks. We got 2 calls. Stay tuned.
Reality.
Welcome back, folks. I don't know about other people, but when I find stuff like this, it just pleases me to no end because it's like, stick it up your craw, folks. How can you not believe this is going on? I mean, are you serious? How it's bad enough that you can look up in the sky and not see it, but to see all this other evidence just bugs me. What do you think, folks? Let's go to the phones. Joe in Missouri, welcome to the show.
Hey, Clint, can you hear me? It's breaking up a little bit.
I can hear you. Yeah,
okay.
I'm getting a little echo in my my headphones.
All right. This is a big pet peeve subject for me, so I'm glad you're taking it on tonight. But I don't know if you, just before we kick this one off, was it in the 1970s the UN made some kind of ban on weapons of weather control or something along these? There's something that was going on at some point where there was a, pretty much worldwide acknowledgement that, yes, there are things that can steer and control weather, and you can't weaponize them. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the UN, but they actually had the audacity to acknowledge these things and say that you can't weaponize them.
Lost my signal there for a while. Sorry about that, folks. Do we still have you on there, Joe?
Think so.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Please continue. The treaty you're talking about was the Weather Weapons Treaty, and yeah, it basically was a very lame attempt at getting nations to not use weather as a weapon, basically. But of course, they've been doing it since before that time. You had Project Popeye, I believe it was called. I can't remember. There was a project in the Vietnam War where they were extending the monsoon rains to rain out the people in Vietnam. You had, like I said, public notices of them using it way back when in the early 1900s. So it's been going on for a while.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I know that you know a lot about and you haven't even mentioned tonight is if people have questions, they can look into the patents.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course, they're not going to do this stuff without making sure that they, that they don't have the proper monopoly, if you will.
Not that every patent that's out there maybe gets used, I suppose. One can make a good argument, but why are they patenting all this stuff if they're not going to do it? I mean, it's kind of a... Well,
one of the reasons for patenting is to make sure no one else can do something. So all of the good things in life are patented. Anything that would actually help humanity and actually bring us out of all these purposeful depressions and food shortages and all that stuff are basically patented, so no one else can do them. That's why I'm very against actually the patenting process altogether, because of course 40% of the genes in your body at last count are now patented, and that includes your blood, and unfortunately most of the new life forms that are actually being engineered or created, novel life, new life, some of it cloned, some of it created through gene splicing, some of it just the weirdest kind of stuff, new vegetables, new life, all patented thanks to the patenting process. So, that right there should tell you there's something wrong with it and it needs to be taken away. When you patent something that could actually save people's lives just so a corporation can make $1 billion instead of $1 million, there's something wrong.
What you're bringing up tonight, which is so great, I think I've said this before sometimes, but I've got a brother who's out in California, and he's trying to do this environmental, geology thing about water and everything, but he's getting sold Agenda 21 and global warming and everything real hard, full court press. And I guess that's something I also wanted to bring up about all this. Isn't a lot of what this geoengineering, hey, go save the planet because it's baking from global warming. Now, that's just a theory, right?
Well, I mean, the concept of what they're talking about is certainly a theory, but global warming is not a theory. Neither is global cooling. Oh, yeah, now it makes sense. The Earth gets warm, the Earth gets cold, so you have global warming and global cooling. The real problem from what Dane Wigington was showing is that it's not necessarily like you'll see record low temperatures all over the place, and you'll also see record high temperatures, but for the most part you're seeing record low temperatures on the land. But for the most part that's not changing so much. What you're seeing, I guess, are massive warmings of the ocean and a lot of methane release, which is kind of a life killer. So I don't know. Al Gore really screwed it up for me because I don't know who to believe anymore. But Dane seems to have a lot of really good information, and it does point to the fact that there is some warming going on. What that actually means. The fact that that's also historically the way the Earth has been, I don't know. But it seems to me that what they're doing in the skies with this spraying, this geoengineering, is the problem. That nothing else is really the actual problem. It's almost like they created a problem and now they can't get out of it.
Well, yeah, that's, of course, you talked about Dane Wigington or whatever his name is, and I know that's what he's saying about this solar dimming thing is that it creates a greenhouse effect by the very fact that it's trapping with all the aluminum and everything that's supposedly been put up there to reflect the sun back out and then put something that traps the heat that is down in. Again, it's kind of beyond me, but I'm just saying that could be the very thing that's fueling the global warming from a human.
Well, and the other aspect that he was saying is that we keep pointing to the glaciers and the fact that the glaciers are actually growing instead of shrinking, but we're looking at a two-dimensional type of field, from above. We're not actually looking at, from the side to see that the actual amount of ice is actually a lot less, and that there's purposely spraying to keep that ice there. Otherwise, you'd have basically a deadly release of methane gas, unprecedented, except for maybe in the past. I don't know. Again, I don't know what to think, and I don't want to sit here and doomsday and say everything's going to die or whatever. But he does make a very interesting case. I'll say that.
And I know you got other callers, so I'll hit a couple things and get right off. But one of them is, of course, Morgellons, and I think of you and Patrick Jordan. And is there an angle there?
Yeah, I wish I could answer what, how, and when Morgellons is, but I got to be honest, it's so beyond me. It is a combination of life and biomechanical stuff that I just is so beyond our understanding. I don't think I'd be comfortable even saying what it is. I do know personally. Including a cousin of mine, people that it affects, and my cousin won't go out of her house because she's afraid that she's going to infect somebody or whatever. And then there's people that say we've all got it. It's just a matter of if your body is a primordial ooze enough for it to actually come out of your skin or whatever.
Yeah, and even maybe Patrick Jordan would agree that it's hard to figure out whether it's coming from the outside or from the inside. We're exposed to so much stuff. But
yeah, well, I mean, again, this is kind of like the I don't believe it. Well, since the government recently has declassified all of the many, many, many instances where it has sprayed chemicals over cities to see what'll happen. You know, you got the Tuskegee guys with the, syphilis. You've got all these tests of in San Francisco where they were releasing disease off of the hill and letting it spread. I mean, so many cases of government spraying people with stuff. Why would you then just dismiss this outright when they've come out and actually, admitted to it all? So, hey, thanks for the call, man. We'll be back, folks. Corporation Nation State.
Scientists have been battling to understand what this unappealing object is all about. What the object is all about.
Information in the form of energy streams in simultaneously through all of our sensory systems in the form of energy. And then it explodes into this enormous collage of what this present moment looks like, what it feels like.
Welcome back, folks. Talking about the Corporation Nation. We're really talking about the the weird corporation of the entire atmosphere today. Hey, guess what, folks? At Michigan Tech, under Geological and Mining Engineering and Services, you could be a geological engineer. You get a bachelor's degree. Here's how they sell it to all of these unsuspecting children who are willing to fork out lots of money because guess what? If you go to Michigan Tech, you can help save the world. That's right. It says the world needs professionals who can apply engineering to solve complex geologic, atmospheric, and environmental problems facing humankind. At Michigan Tech, you will explore industrial practices for safely and efficiently adapting geologic features to society's needs while protecting the Earth and its inhabitants. In fact, this is actually a geological engineering degree to become Superman. Because, yes, that's right, you're going to protect Earth and its inhabitants. The world needs professionals like you. Well, I should be getting paid by Michigan Tech to support this nonsense. One of the lectures that they were talking about, one of the guys that does the lectures for these degrees, I guess he travels all over, his name's David Olson. And he's with the Institute for Alternative Futures. He talks about a 4-degree world. The pros and cons of geoengineering and the Earth's climate. Well, he says, quote, now listen to this. Quote, one of the biggest concerns is that we don't know enough about all the processes of the biosphere, the oceans, the atmosphere, and the geologic processes to know whether if some of these things are going to cause us more harm than good. Well, according to Mr. Wigington, it's basically on the way to extinction of the entire species as well as all the other species. But, you know, who's counting? We just don't know enough, he says. Professor of Geology Marcia Jo, I can't even say her last name, says Thursday's event was part of the Sproul Lecture Series involving environmental sciences at the university this semester. She says, this year we're examining the range of options available to us in the face of reality of climate change, ranging from adaptation strategies to protecting the coastlines from rising sea level. Gee, did it ever occur to you that the coastlines were created by sea levels rising and falling? To a more controversial idea of climate and geoengineering and deliberate manipulation of the climate system and mitigate the effects of global warming. According to Olson, geoengineering is a way to modify the Earth's climate systems through 2 different methods, removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and by solar radiation management. He states that there are several different ways to help with carbon dioxide removal, including reforestation. Reforestation. That's right. Over the past decade or so, he says, it's estimated that about 12% of carbon emissions has been from taking down forests. Trees sequester a lot of carbon dioxide in their structure. When you take them down and they rot or burn, it releases that carbon. If you reforest, you're taking out some of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Well, God's sake, let's call Monsanto, because the only trees that are going to grow are their geo-engineered, biologically altered, what is it? Let's see, it's aluminum resistance. Aluminum not being a natural thing that floats around in the air and suddenly falls where all trees are. Aluminum resistant trees. Oh, thank God for Monsanto. They're going to save the day again. Well, let's see. Looks like we've got a lot of callers here. Ryan in California, welcome to the show.
Hi, Clint.
Howdy.
Hey, I had a question for you, and I guess if you have, I'm wondering, there's a topic that relates to, that I have found relates to the chemtrail and geoengineering situation that mostly is not discussed, and I think it's kind of a hard one for people to get into, and it has to do with the mystery school going back. You know, you can go call it Illuminati and Masons and Jesuits. You can call them all sorts of things, but they go on back into the beginning of time, and there's sort of this kind of system of keeping information away from the people. And people that have broken their oaths and come out and given information to the people have been martyred over that. Like even Pythagoras was killed in a very gruesome fashion for giving the music to us as we have it.
Throughout history, that's been happening.
Yeah, throughout history. And so this particular subject, you may have come across it, and you study a lot of things. It's called astrotheology. Have you heard of this?
Sure.
So, yeah, it's pretty profound stuff. If you go onto YouTube, you can watch a lot of presentations given by people who study it, and you can, start to form an idea of what it is. And you find out that a lot of these authors of the books that are referred to have been killed. It's a very interesting topic, and it's kind of, as you study it, it's sort of the base of all religion, and it deals with the sine wave of the Earth, of the galaxy, of the universe. And
well, yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'd like to get Michael Tellinger back on the show. Someone recommended that I read one of his books, which was talking about controversial. It's called Slave Species of the Gods, and he talks about Zecharia Sitchin's work, and basically he actually says that the reason, he's found all these mines, what he calls gold mines. I don't think they're mines actually, but all these basically circles of rocks that are in the form of patterns of like snowflakes, basically what they call, I can't remember what they call, when they pour sand on a drum head and they hit it with a certain sound, it forms like a shape, a snowflake. And he basically says that they used to use and again, you can take this for what it's worth. I think it's very interesting. The reason that we were harvesting so much gold for our gods, if you will, way back when, more than 6,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, is how old these things are. It was because they were using gold instead of silver oxide. They were using gold oxide to geoengineer their own planet, and this goes into the Nibiru and all the, Herculobos, whatever it is. Interesting concept to me.
Well, yeah, it is. Specifically what I wanted to say regarding that is, in Christian narrative or theology, you may have be familiar with what's called the war in heaven. People kind of have created their own stories around it, but the Bible makes loose reference to a battle in heaven before the creation, and a decision whether to go with God's plan or Christ's plan of self-determination and free will. And Satan supposedly had offered a plan of enslavement and would force humanity to become perfected by taking away free will or agency. And you sort of see that playing out on this earth. regardless if you can subscribe to that one notion or another of the narrative. But there's a thing where they talk about the veil, and where God, the throne of God is veiled from us. And if we were to see him, his power we would kind of burn up in his presence, and we're not pure enough yet. And
like the sun?
There's also a kind of a belief that the sun reflects light from this galactic core center where the throne of God is, and that these veils are actually also sort of like the Milky Way is a veil, and there are apparently a few veils between us and this energy source, and they sort of protect us from it, but yet we're exposed to the right amount of radon that helps us genetically and spiritually progress and purify, become better beings, grow as nature intended, according to natural law. And what I've noticed with chemtrailing is it acts as a veil. They tell you to be afraid of the sun, put on suntan lotion, tint your windows, wear sunglasses, fight in the sun, and they're veiling us from this. They're veiling us from this energy source that has been proven to heal you, make you happy.
Sure.
Help you spiritually progress. So this is, I consider this to be not only epigenetics on a physical plane, but a spiritual control.
Absolutely. I'd agree with you, man. Hey, thanks for the call. I got a big list of calls here, so I'll let you go. But, yeah, it's all very interesting stuff that perhaps in the future shows we'll get more into that, definitely. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back.
Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men. Machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are men. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful. Use that power to make this life a wonderful adventure. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world to do away with greed. A world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Do not despair. The hate of men will pass and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. Let us all unite!
Welcome back, folks, here at the Corporation Nation. I'm Clint, your host, and we're just going to jump right back into the phones. We've got, looks like Rita in Illinois. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Clint. How are you today?
Very good.
Okay. And then, what I tell people when we get our tic-tac-toes up in the sky, I tell them, hey, take a look up. You know what those are? And they, what is it? I tell them it's vitamins from the government. And they just don't want us to be sick, so they spray vitamins on us. And then they can chug and move off. But, when you're talking about all this, protecting us from solar radiation and protecting the coastlines and everything. And what I always tell people, that, they can't protect us from Fukushima. How's that for global warming? You know what I'm saying? When they got a big problem?
Good point.
Really, because it's hot, but it's a different kind of hot. And when there's a real fire, you're going to control the sun thousands of miles away in the oceans, and it's something that stupid men made over there.
Well, yeah, so you're saying they can't build a levee, right? So how could they possibly build an atmospheric wall of protection correctly, right?
Well, how many years has Fukushima been going on? Well, it's not a problem. Oh, hey, your CO2. And another thing, I made a little video out there once. I can't for a CO2 update alert or something. But the thing is, I had a CO2 in the Coke. Everybody say, hey, let's stop drinking the Coke and the Pepsi or CO2. It saves the planet, You watch how fast Coke and Pepsi change their tune, There's so many things you could do. But
well, they're probably going to pay for Sky advertising eventually.
Oh, sure, That's because it doesn't really exist. If it really existed, if they really cared about the environment, then Fukushima wouldn't be going on this long, and all the kids in school would be learning how to do something about the radiation and negate the effects of all of that. That is a fire, an endless, it's the unquenchable fire, I think they call it in the Bible. And that thing is going and going and going. You can't protect us from, you're going to protect us from solar radiation. What about nuclear radiation? You can't do that one. You made that. Why don't you fix that first? And then you worry about the sun later, And the other thing I wanted to ask you, Clint, was your show with Melody Howlett. I was going to call you that day, but, that was great, and it was just great. Does John Stadtmiller, does he know about that show? Does he know who she is?
I don't know, honestly.
You should send that show to him, because that's all that is extortion. If you don't go along, here comes the false flag trading team. Hey, this could happen to you.
You're an outlier. You're an outsider. You got to learn how to be an insider.
Oh, God. And I was like, wow, we shall be going to the house and say, hey, man, what's this, are you threatening them? Are you going to, what we got going on here? Another thing that people are looking at, because I'm watching a small town go down, 3 of them in a row along the river because they want the water. I'm not there yet, but I can see what's going on there. They come in with these community arts. Do you know anything about that?
Community arts? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yes. And they get this, right now, at this one town, they've got the 15,000, they come up with all these projects. If you want to see what some things, till your eyeballs fall out, there's a website, and it's called desertvortex.com, and that's it. Just go there and keep reading the older posts, and your eyeballs will fall out. This is Desert Hot Springs, California, and somebody's got a blog. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I used to live near Palm Springs, actually, so it's pretty close.
So it's just like, we need a Jewish temple. The city manager comes in. They spend a couple $1 million, build a Jewish temple. No, we don't need it no more. Then they tear it down. And then they built a swimming pool. They're trying to do this out here, too. Swimming pools, hockey stadium. So they built a swimming pool in the center for everybody. It was open for one day. Then they got to come up and build a bunch of buildings for the city buildings, but then they don't use them. And then the guy gets a $250,000 parachute, moves on to another town, because I was thinking about moving to Arizona, and there was a controversial guy, and I started tracking him back to Desert Hot Springs at that desertvortex.com. Anybody, just go there. Your eyeballs will fall out. You think you're reading Cracked Magazine or National Lampoon or something.
Yeah, and there's a military, there's quite a few military presences out there, big military base. So it is interesting. What was it? Desert Vortex?
desertvortex.com. And
nice.
It's a blog about all the corruption. It's unbelievable corruption. And they come in, they bring in, it's Switzerland. They bring them all from all over the country. They bring in these experts. They run up a big bill. City manager takes off. And out here, they came in with entertainment. They come in with entertainment. They've got a contract now for 3 years for future earnings for festivals. Because in Communist China, you always have a festival. And they got all the kids learning these dance steps. They're going to wear red pants and a white shirt, whatever, matching clothes, dance around to a record. Hey, give me some money. And they're hoping that they could get $3,000 to $5,000, and in some cases, $10,000 per event, for the next 3 years. So you got to pay this guy $15,000. Somebody else is going to pay him maybe $15,000 or more.
Yeah, so it's a public-private partnership. Basically, they fund the project and then they get all the revenues from it. Yeah, and everybody loses basically, except the.
See, the thing is, they provide the entertainment, and it's called, what is it? Media Enterprise. I can't think of it right now. They got the entertainment, so I went and looked at everything they got, and it's all filthy. And they got this guy singing about his big 12-inch, and the police are chasing him. He's hiding behind the car with his big 12-inch. They had a bunch of floozies in there. What was it called? Two Live Crew. And they're all about, let's talk about sex, let's talk about you and me. They got enough. Those guys are coming back with their big 12-inch weed. So everything they got coming in here is this.
Well, that's your typical, I hate to say it, but that's your typical, bathroom Jewish humor. So don't be surprised. Hey, thanks for the call, Rita.
Okay.
Good to hear from you. Speaking of funny things with Israel, someone sent me a timesofisrael.com news article. You can go to timesofisrael.com/a new Israel in eastern Texas. Huh? What? Long shot congressional candidate Alan Levine has a uniquely improbable two-state solution. With the Israeli-Palestine peace negotiations floundering, it may perhaps be time to consider an entirely different kind of two-state solution, one that involves the state of Texas. Congressional candidate Alan Levine is proposing to cut the Gordian knot of Middle East peace by creating a second state of Israel on the eastern coast of Texas, which he would call New Israel. The idea, briefly, is to take through eminent domain, of course, so the federal government would take roughly 8,000 square miles of sparsely populated land bordering the Gulf of Mexico and give it to Israel as a second non-contiguous part of the state of Israel. Israel would get the land only if it agrees to withdraw to its pre-1967 borders, basically giving back the what's it called? I can't think of it, but so the Palestinians would get back their West Bank, basically. That's it. So it basically goes on to say that everybody would win. Texas would even win. And, of course, Israel, New Israel, would be on the coast so it could do all of its international trade that it needs to do. And now it has much easier access to commit terrorism inside the United States. And it even says that the federal government would have to spend so much money. It says the U.S. wins because it would no longer need to send Israel billions of dollars a year in foreign aid. Wow, there's an admission. Stay tuned, folks. We'll come back with callers.
Is this real? Or is this just rhyme? The world is like a ride. You think it's real? It's a rhyme. We can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice between fear and love. The world is like a ride. You think it's real? It's a rhyme. We can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice between fear and love.
Welcome back, folks. Well, we got a special caller. We got Lark in Texas. After a lot of goading in the chat room, our chat room is corporationnation.chitango.com. We got Lark to call in. Lark, welcome to the show.
Well, aren't you fed up? Aren't you tired of listening to me? Can you not hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Ah, well, I thought you brought up a terrific idea. Israel wants to claim another portion of America that they don't already own?
Sure.
Yeah, I suggest we turn it into a zoo.
Excellent. I suggested that we then make the rest of Texas for white Germans only. See how they like being surrounded.
Oh, I like some of the Czechs, too.
Sure. In fact, we'll get some of the bourgeoisie in there, too, and really just give them a go-around.
Well, I don't know. Do you have a Holocaust museum where you live?
I don't think so, but I know that the Mormons certainly love the whole mythology around that particular subject, and were one of the first bond purchasers of municipal bonds for Israel. So in other words, the church supported the building of Israel, and they even have statues, busts of over there in Jerusalem, I believe it is, of some of the church presidents that helped to build it, helped to bond it.
Oh yeah, that whole thing is interesting to say the least. I wouldn't say frightening anymore, but we're oftentimes frightened by the things that we don't understand until we delve into them just a bit. I know that Israel has quite a presence here in Texas. Not long ago, just past few months, I think, they declared a Texas Israel Day, where they had the flags commingled. And this is occupied territory right here in Texas. The whole. I'll bet
you all the dual Israeli citizens came out in government to celebrate that, huh?
Oh yeah, and you can always see them hanging around Rick Perry, and he's a scary person. I've met him personally, and I'm telling you, the guy is scary. I mean, he looks like some of these other cretins that we see in the Congress. They look, when you see them up close, they look like mummies. and you wonder what is actually animating these people, because the truth is they look frightening.
Well,
and,
some people say they're clones, so I don't know what to think about that.
I used to think that about Ronald Reagan. I think after the failed hit on him by one of Bush Sr.'s dinner friends, I guess the son, he wasn't the same after that. I always thought he looked like a mummy.
Well, it's possible. I walk around and I look at everybody and I think I see a bunch of zombies anyway. In fact, I was just out, I had to go down and buy some cement today, and I stopped by and I got just a burrito, and I was sitting in one of the burrito shops there, and it's in a strip mall, and I'm looking around and I'm going, man, you can see how the society is kind of set up. There's all these strip malls, and it's almost like a Western town. The sets they used to build for movies, where the front of the strip mall looks so nice, and it's all bricked out, and little waterfalls, and it's like this little heaven on earth kind of thing, and just traffic everywhere, cars going all over the place, people wearing the same exact clothes, same exact hairstyle, all just packing into these little restaurants. And I'm sitting there watching this whole thing, and then of course as I'm pulling out, I see the reality, which is the back of the building, where the Coca-Cola truck and the Cisco trucks are all pulling in, and they're all basically delivering the same food, same thing to every single restaurant. And I'm just, it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like putting food coloring in food and calling it a different food. Everybody's serving the same corporation's food, and it's, one is Chinese, one is American, one is hamburgers, one is burritos, one, it's just a ridiculous thing we're doing, really. No,
and if you've ever sat outside of a Walmart or even McDonald's for about an hour and just watch the people going in and out, I mean, you really feel like you're in Bizarro world.
I think you feel a bit of hopelessness too. Like, how could you ever?
Wait a minute, I'm not. Are those Americans? I'm thinking, I can't be one of them. But I was one of those people at one time. You were. I couldn't help but laugh earlier as you were rattling off the curricula at the universities, because every time one of these patriot attorneys gets on the air and they start. Ellen Brown will talk about. Let's see. We need to make a public utility out of the Fed, and then we've got the constitutional attorney that's always on rents that shows up once a month. I can't think of his name at the moment, but yeah. And then we had Karen Hudas most recently here on RBN, and I mean these people are attorneys. And I'm always astounded because nobody asks them any questions relative to the law.
It's true.
I mean, here is this. What did I mention her name as? Ellen Brown. I mean, she went to UC Berkeley. She's an attorney, but people are always soliciting her advice about the economy.
Yeah.
And then Karen Hudas, we're talking about the World Bank and whistleblowing, but yet she's an attorney. And so why no questions about law?
Well, and my questions were to Ellen. I'm like, well, Ellen, don't you see a little problem here? The office you're going for has always been attorneys. Basically, every office in government is filled by attorneys, and the thing's going to crap. Don't you think you see a problem? Or no, not at all. What do you mean? What do you mean?
And the whole thing is a criminal protection racket. When I was a younger man coming of age, I had very real concerns about what I saw on the horizon with this technology, and particularly with the Internet. I mean, others, I'm sure, had no problems whatsoever, but it wasn't until years later when I was reading, and this is just in the past few years, I've been reading the works of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, I have a copy of his book, actually. I haven't sat down and read the whole thing, but it's pretty interesting.
Technological slavery is good.
Yeah.
Also, The Road to Revolution is good. If the listeners haven't read his Industrial Society and Its Future, which was his college thesis, I mean, this guy was right on the belly of the beast. He saw these bad guys, and he saw what they were up to.
I mean, people are calling me a technophobe, and I'm like, why? Because I don't have a tracking device that I carry around, that everything I say gets recorded, and I was just talking to a friend. I can't really name any names, but the guy's wife works for AT&T, and she's pretty high up in AT&T. And she was telling my friend about how phones actually work. That that there's the backup battery. So if you take your battery out, and you think that's going to stop anybody from listening. And he didn't believe it at the time, but they said that. Anything you talk about is going to, the next day it's going to show up on your search engine, basically, and suggested videos on YouTube and all these things. So if you talk about quilting and child daycare, that's what's going to be the suggested thing when you're, next time you go to the internet.
I well believe it.
Sure enough, there it is. Hey, stay tuned, folks. We'll be back.
Hi, neighbor. Welcome again to this neighborhood. I'd like to show you something. You know what this is? Maybe if I press this button. There are so many things to learn about in this world, and so many people who can help us learn.
Welcome back,
folks. Did you ever?
Now, back when I was looking at what Microsoft actually does in the background of your computer, this was way back when it was XP, or when I still had XP anyway. Basically, the first thing you do is you sign your end-user lease agreement, EULA, and that gives Microsoft basically complete control over everything on your computer, all the applications, information sharing, and all that. And it's a unilateral agreement. It's not like Microsoft agrees to do anything for you. It's just basically you giving up all of your rights of privacy to Microsoft to sell all your information. So it has something called web-based environment management. Allows Microsoft and its affiliate companies that it contracts with, other corporations, to control and monitor your computer from remote locations through the internet. So it could literally basically just turn off and on switches, digital switches, anything you change in your registry, it's going to change right back the second you connect to the internet. You have the MRU, most recently used list. Basically records everything that you do, everything you say. They have programs that reconstruct every type that every time you hit a key and reconstructs it in a sentence. But if you actually go and you look at the services in the control panel, administrative tools and all that, you'll see things like routing and remote access, which it says offers routing services to businesses in local area and wide area network environments. Now, remember, this was in 90. So, I mean, XP came out a long time ago, so they've perfected this in a great way. But when enabled, this is what I wrote way long ago, this allows corporate advertisers to localize their advertisements to your specific IP or Internet Protocol location, which everybody has one. That's very open to everybody. The geographical area in which your internet connection is based, basically. This is why you see ads from lonely housewives in your town looking for love and other localized advertisements that amaze you every time you get online, because all of a sudden you have this personal advertising, and somehow it's right in Draper, right in Salt Lake City where you live, right in New York where you live, right in California. How does that happen? Well, you agreed to it. You signed a unilateral agreement assigning all of your rights over so that Microsoft can do whatever the heck it wants. So all the ads are personalized. Of course, you know by now that that's what happens every time you get on the computer. But this brings it to a whole new level, more like on the par of, what was the Minority Report, movies like that, books like that, where you have advertising in a frame while you're walking along the subway. And it says, Clint, hi, Clint, I see that you bought something yesterday. We have a sale on accessories for that product going on now until, personalized advertising. And it's simply the phone or computer, anything you're talking around, your Xbox, whatever, picking up your voice and taking certain keywords. Like I said, if you're talking about healthcare and some school, then the next thing you're going to see come up on your computer are videos about school, suggestions of where to go to school, and, of course, healthcare plans in your area or your state that would be best for you. Okay, this is very scary, and this is coming from someone, of course, inside the corporation that's actually telling her husband about it. So, we're entering into a bizarre age, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, your only purpose for existence is to be harvested or milked.
Yeah,
like a cow.
But I'm a technophobe. I'm a technophobe.
I don't think that you are. I think that you're quite comfortable with technology. But and as well we should be, because after all, technology doesn't have to be a bad thing. However, I must tell you that I happened upon an article over at henrymakehoff.com today, which is an abridgment of an essay written by David Livingstone. And the title of the piece is called, Was Surveillance the Purpose of the Internet? Now, I got to tell you, Clint, in 1970 and 1971, this is precisely the way I thought. It's precisely the way I thought.
Yeah.
And I think it's come to pass today. I think, all of your intellectual property, I think that's going to be a thing of the past. You truly better learn to keep a secret if you want to have any intellectual property. And
as long as you can keep your secret, how long is that going to last?
And I remember, too, the work of Norbert Wiener with cybernetics at MIT right after World War II. Hell, one of my best buds in high school became a cyber, what do you call it? Well, he's a professor emeritus or emeritus at an Illinois university, and he is a cybernetrician. Did I say that right?
It's one of those new fields.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's quite advanced. But anyway, I mean, when I listen to people like you, I have hope, because I know you're a very bright guy, and people like you are going to have to navigate all of this, and you're going to figure out a way out, because I don't think most of us really want to be controlled and ruled as if we're rats in a maze, and that's certainly the world that we see coming into view, isn't it?
I hope you're right. I hope there are people that can figure it out. I mean, the only thing I could figure out is to ditch it all. That seems to be I've said it before, I'll say it again, the word solution literally means to end all contractual relationships with whatever it is, pay your debt off, whatever. I mean, if that's what solution means, then the only solution is to literally jump ship from this thing and stop being...
You have it exactly right, though. Because, see, I believe that every human being, especially every American that's listening, it doesn't matter, you have a moral and economic imperative to disassociate yourself with this thing that we term a system. Because to be a part of this system is to truly be a part of racketeering, organized crime, gangsterism, and you are a slave.
They just don't outright call it slave anymore, and that's what confuses people. Hey, Lark, why don't you stay on the line? I got a bunch of callers here.
Please.
Let's see if we can get a three-way going on here. Kathy in California. Do we have Kathy?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Kathy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice to talk with you, Clint. I don't think I've talked to you before.
Great.
I like to call in and bug people. Ecclesiastes 1:9 in the Bible states, the thing that hath been, it is which shall be, and that which is done, and there is which shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that's happened before has happened will happen again. In other
Well,
words.
that was one of my thoughts, actually, Kathy, when I was watching Dane Wigington's presentation. I almost felt like I was watching our current circumstances, where we're basically just heading towards a global catastrophe of unequaled proportions. And then I think, well, this is probably just one of 1,000 different computer models that have been played out in the past, and that it's like, you see in the movies, they're trying to figure out the solution to something, and they do all these computer models, and this is just one way, In another one, they tried to use Tesla's domes and killed themselves. In another model, a million years ago or whatever, 2,000 years ago, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, this HARP thing you were going on about earlier, basically, is with this, it could do this aluminum that they're spraying in the skies could also project holograms, to fool the people that Jesus Christ is coming back when it's actually the Antichrist. And, of course, I am a Bible believer, can you tell? The earth is only 6,000 years old. People don't know this. It's been well hidden, but Ron Wyatt, and you might look up on YouTube, Wyatt Archaeology, Amazing Discoveries, whatever. He found the Noah's Ark. It was documented on 2020 with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. He also found the real Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia, not the Sinai Peninsula. No, that was all Egyptian land back then. And I guess Egypt's got it back because Israel lost that land. He found the Red Sea crossing with the horses' hooves, the chariots of the Egyptian soldiers. King Tut was killed in the 10th plague in the book of Exodus.
I'll tell you what, stay on the line. We'll come back and we'll discuss that a bit. Stay tuned, folks.
Quantitative easing, trade imbalances, recession, low GDP, nations close to collapsing, and subprime loans, foreclosed homes, and people's taxes spent to bail out too big to fail AAA banks again. Fear levels rising as the U.S. crash seems imminent, having smashed the debt ceiling of $14 trillion.
Okay, welcome back, folks.
Clashes in Athens streets, the IMF.
Oh, the crazy economy. Poor guy rapping about it. So, Kathy, I want to just say one thing to what you were just talking about with the so-called discovery of the Ark. And I'm not going to tell you not to believe in the Bible, not at all. What I am going to tell you is something that the Bible tells you, which is not to put your faith in men. Okay, and I think Lark would probably. Since we did a show about this, probably agree with me here. We did a show about the Noahide laws, so it would make sense to me that NBC, which in my term, when you look at words like the devil and Satan, which actually refers to man, and the devil being the what's the term? It's the deceiver of men or the antagonist of men. I can't remember what it is.
Adversary.
The adversary, yes, adversary of men. I would consider that to be this whole corporate structure of the media. So if NBC or any of the media outlets are making a big deal about someone who is claiming to have found biblical artifacts and all of that, I would be at the most, I would be very, very, very cautious of that, because here's a representation of the very government that presents in Congress that this country is not built on the 10 Commandments, but on the 7 laws of Noah, or the Noahide laws, which actually means that Christianity is idolatry, because that's actually more of a Judaic or even Masonic type of thing. What would you say, Lark?
Well, and they're also teaching in the universities today that America was established as a communitarian state from the get-go.
Yeah.
That's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
And it goes to how easily language itself is manipulated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathy, what would you say to that?
Well, I believe in the Bible. It has prophecies that have not been fulfilled. It also has prophecies that have been fulfilled.
Sure.
And it's 30% prophecy. And the Quran does not have any such thing. Any Nostradamus couldn't even spell Hitler's name right. And there's names, dates, and places in the Bible that if you go on and check it out, they match up with what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I put my faith in the Bible and Jesus Christ. He is.
Well, and I suggest you do that. I just don't suggest that you put your faith in man.
Get away from that issue. As far as Rick Perry, somebody mentioned him on one of your callers. He is Jesuit trained. Joe Biden's Jesuit trained.
Sure.
Obama is not. He's just doing what Biden's telling him to do. They're working for the Pope. Most of the people on the boob tube are Catholics. Sean Hannity and all those guys all work for the Pope. Alex Jones, his father-in-law is a Knights of Malta. Bush was a Knights of Malta. They all.
I agree. Then why would you trust what you see on NBC?
And the Jesuits and the Freemasons are all working together with the Black Pope. He's over all the secret societies Kennedy warned us about. Kennedy would not bow to the Pope is one reason why he was taken out. Plus, of course, the printing of silver, backing the money with silver anyway. And then he was taken out also because he was going to smash the CIA into a million smithereens anyway. Yeah. They're run by the Jesuits. The Jesuits is the military force of the Vatican. In Arizona, the Jesuits have a Lucifer telescope that they run. Also, your buddy Bill Gates is a Knights of Malta. So they're all working together to bring us back under the power of Rome. That is what is going on.
Well, I'm not so sure we've ever left the power of Rome. Like I said, I think Rome is more of a concept than it is.
Power in 1798, and Mussolini brought him back into power in 1929, giving him the land of the Vatican with a bunch of money. And Mussolini, Stalin, and all these guys, they all worked together. They were working both sides of the war. FDR knew that we were going to be invaded by Pearl Harbor, and they even had oil drums in Pearl Harbor in 1920. They were already planning for the World War II invasion on Pearl Harbor back then, so that they would have an oil supply to fight the Midway battle and etc. Because they have to come all the way back.
Sounds like you've done your research, Kathy. I got to move on to some other callers, but I appreciate the knowledge. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, of course, Jesuit, Jew, all of these are just basically the same fingers of different fingers of the same glove.
Israel does not have the land. They're only on 25% of the land that they are supposed to have. And
supposed to have.
Palestine was invented by Rome back in 130 A.D. Might do the research on that one. Anyway.
All right. Well, everything's invented, so that doesn't surprise me. All right. Take care, Kathy.
Thanks.
Let's go to Andrea in Oklahoma. We still got Lark on the line. Welcome, Andrea.
Yes. To my dismay, when I watched the news this evening, I was informed and saw on the Channel 9 News that we have a statue of Satan going right there at our Capitol. It's going to be, I sent you a link to it and the article, but it's also in Tex Mars' website.
A statue of Satan?
I know. It's just so scary. It's 10 foot, I think, high. And it's like, I cannot believe it. Here we are in the Bible Belt. And there's churches every, 100 feet, it seems like. And we've got a statue of Satan going right at the Capitol.
Where is this again?
In Oklahoma City.
Oh, my goodness.
Help me now. It's like, I cannot believe it. I'm surprised that people aren't rioting in the street.
Well, I mean,
what is an article?
What does Satan look like? I mean, that's the question.
Well, he looks like a goat with horns.
No, you're kidding.
Baphomet.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I am so serious. I sent you an email, and it's.
I will look for it.
I am scared. That people would be that docile and not rise up in unison to make it go away.
Well, I'll check for the email. Thanks for the heads up. That is very, well, it sounds Masonic more than anything, really.
It is, and I've seen it. It's, I can understand the caller's concern, but, yeah, it's readily viewable on the Internet, Clint.
Really?
It is.
Well, I guess I got to get my head out of financial reports and start looking around a little more. Thanks for the call, Andrea, and I wish you the best of luck with that. I mean, I don't think you'd be at all out of your well, I won't promote it, but I could certainly see the defamation of such public property. Didn't hear it from me. Let's see if we can get Alex in California in for our last caller. Alex, welcome to the show. Oh, Alex, what are you doing? I think that's it then. Do we have any other callers? Richard in Washington, welcome.
Yeah, I just was happy to hear Lark's voice after hearing Melody's voice the other day. It's great to hear some old friends. One thing I wanted to bring up, since Lark's an ex-chef, I guess we'd call him an ex-chef, I'd probably still chefing, but in mention to what you were talking about, all these stores having the same stuff we call food, the real problem is we don't even know what food is anymore. Our body is that of a carnivore, and you can check online and check the digestive system of a carnivore versus a herbivore, and there's two ways to process stuff you put in your body. If it's fats and proteins, you can digest it. If it's a herbivore or herbivorous substance, you have to ferment it, which is a totally different process, taking insulin and totally destroying the system. So basically, unless you're eating raw proteins and fat, especially the last meal, and going into the parasympathetic autonomic nervous system, you don't even get food in your body, and that's really how we've been deceived.
Well, one good reason why we should all be harvesting earthworms, don't you think, Richard?
Hey, earthworms would be great. There was a gentleman in the Price Pottinger Foundation that was actually doing that, and I think that's probably the way to solve the protein deficiencies in the world.
Probably we'll have pemmican made of earthworms in the future.
Hey, that would be a good shot.
Well, they're there for some reason, right? That's interesting. I've never heard it put that way. Thank you, Richard. Fermentation in the body. That makes perfect sense now that you say that, actually.
Fermentation.
Well, yeah, thanks so much to Lark and all the callers today, including Richard. Sorry we're out of time. We will see you Monday. And a reminder, I'm going to have Walter Burian on the show on Tuesday. We're just going to talk about the basics of the derivatives in the stock market, just so everybody really grasps what's going on. We'll see you later, folks.
Hey, have a good weekend, y'all.